We often talk about performance in schools, marks, results, rankings, but very rarely do we pause and ask a more important question. What comes before performance? Because long before a child answers the question, attempts a task, they think they first decide something quietly inside themselves. Can I try this? Can I do this? Is it safe to try? Do I belong here? Good morning, everyone. I am Farhat Feroz, an educator from Kolkata. I bring over 7 years of experience working closely with students with diverse academic needs and underperforming students. In addition, I have also worked as a career mentor, supporting students in developing long-term academic direction and purposeful career pathways. Today, I want to talk about one powerful idea. Belief shapes performance and not the other way around. And how belief is built not by one person but by an ecosystem. Teachers, schools, parents, and leadership working together. So, I will be focusing on few key areas. Why belief and emotional safety come before learning, and how teacher mindset and classroom practices build or break confidence, the hidden cost of teacher overload and why supporting teachers matter, and lastly, what is the role of schools, parents, and leaders, and what can they can do practically to create meaningful change. So I will start with the first point, which is uh, yeah, I will start with my first point, which is the foundation of student belief. So we say when students don't perform well, we are very quick to label them careless, lazy, unmotivated. But most students don't disengage because they don't care. They disengage when they stop feeling trusted, when they don't feel supported, and when they don't feel capable enough. So neuroscience is very clear on this. Learning happens best when students feel connected, capable, and involved. When the brain feels threatened, shamed, or ignored, it shifts into protection mode. And a brain in protection mode cannot learn. So that is why emotional reassurance isn't an extra, it is the entry point to learning. Support builds confidence, confidence builds resilience, and resilience deepens engagement, even when learning becomes difficult. So, modern research tells us that learning is not just academic, it is neurological. A child who believes I can improve will keep trying, but a child who believes I am not good enough will stop trying even before learning begins. That is why belief is not something we give after success. Belief should be the starting point of success, it should come before success. So, that is why emotional reassurance is very important. And often the biggest breakthroughs don't happen during instruction, they happen in the pauses when students feel comfortable admitting confusion and supported enough to say, I don't understand. So, before we ask students to perform better, we must first help them believe better about their ability, their effort, and their place in the classroom. Which brings me to my next point, which is teachers shape belief, often without realizing it. So, if belief is the foundation of learning, then teachers are the architects. Every day, through tone, feedback, expectations, and presence, teachers send a very powerful message to students about who they are and what they are capable of becoming. Most of the time, this happens without intention. One of the powerful choices teachers make is what they choose to notice. A 6 out of 10 essay can still be called good. A child who reads slowly but accurately can still be called a good reader. When teachers wait for perfection before offering encouragement, students learn that effort is invisible. But when teachers acknowledge efforts, motivation stays alive. This doesn't lower standards. In fact, it helps students develop perseverance while helping them helping them sustain their self-worth. Now, my next point is praise that builds confidence. So, research in educational psychology and has consistently shown that praise works best as reinforcement, not as a reward for flawless performance. Studies suggest a 4 is to 1 ratio of praise to criticism, which means 4 affirmations for every correction. So, this helps students stay engaged while still receiving guidance. This comes from decades of classroom research and classroom and behavioral research. So, and another point is what matters most is processed based praise. Not just saying you are smart, but you 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 stayed even when the problem got hard. So, this helps develop resilience and sustained engagement. Through everyday actions, teachers communicate 4 powerful messages. You belong here. Point number 1, you belong here through their warmth and consistency. Number 2, you can grow through their feedback that values effort. 3, you can succeed. Excuse me. Just a minute. 3, you can succeed through clear structure and guidance. And last, this learning matters. How? When they are able to connect learning beyond marks. So these messages shape belief quietly but powerfully. Great, great classrooms are not always built with perfection, expensive resources, or technology alone. They are built with mindset, empathy, and energy. When teachers act intentionally, belief stops being accidental. It becomes transformational. But here's the truth we cannot ignore. We cannot keep asking teachers to do all of this, to be emotionally present, reflective, responsive, and consistent while placing them under unsustainable pressure. Which brings me to my next point. Belief doesn't break down only in students, it breaks down when teachers are stretched beyond what they can bear. So, what's the hidden cost of teacher overload? We've spoken about belief and how belief, what is how what role belief plays in helping students succeed, but here's a truth we must confront honestly. Teachers are being given more than they can bear. And when teachers are stretched beyond capacity, an optimistic atmosphere becomes difficult to sustain, no matter how skilled or committed they are. Today's teachers are expected to be instructors, counselors, data managers, curriculum designers, assessors, and emotional anchors all at once. This constant role switching creates cognitive and emotional overload. Research shows that chronic workload and emotional exhaustion reduce empathy, patience, and emotional regulation, not because teachers don't care, but because they are humans. A study published in Teaching and Teacher Education found that teacher burnout is strongly linked to reduced emotional responsiveness in classrooms. And emotional responsiveness, as we have seen, is a core condition for student learning. So when teachers struggle, students feel it, not always through words, but through the climate. Teachers teachers become less emotionally available. They are more reactive, and this leads to fewer moments of encouragement. When teachers are overwhelmed, classrooms become more transactional and less relational. This doesn't mean teaching stops. The content still gets getting delivered, but the climate of learning changes. Research from OECD and UNESCO highlights that emotionally exhausted teachers are less able to create safe, supportive learning environments. And without emotional safety, engagement begins to erode. Here's a statistic that often goes unnoticed. Research indicates that nearly one in five children face some kind of learning difficulty. Yet, only 5% are formally identified and supported. Now, this gap doesn't exist because teachers don't care. It exists because overloaded systems leave little space for observation and individualized support. If we want classrooms filled with belief, empathy, and engagement, we cannot place that responsibility solely on individual teachers. Supporting teachers is not an added benefit, it is a responsibility and a necessity. Because when teachers are supported, they regulate better, they connect more deeply, they notice effort, and they build belief consistently. Belief cannot thrive in isolation, and neither can teachers. If we want classrooms where students feel connected, engaged, and capable, then supporting teachers cannot be optional. It must be intentional, structural, and shared. Now, this leads us directly to the final piece of this conversation, which is belief is not built by teachers alone. It is sustained by an ecosystem, schools, parents, and leaders working together. So, schools, parents, and leaders have to work together to create the conditions where belief can survive and grow. Student growth is not the responsibility of teachers alone. It is shaped by the ecosystem around them. Schools, parents, leadership, All play a role in creating or weakening the conditions where students can learn. When systems support teachers, classrooms become calmer, safer, and more responsive. When systems don't, even the most committed teachers begin to operate in survival mode. So, this final point is not about adding more responsibility, it's about redistributing it. Because when responsibility is shared, growth becomes sustainable. We often talk about what teachers should do for students, but very rarely do we ask what are we doing for teachers. If teachers are shaping students every single day, then supporting them should be intentional. And this is where systems come in. A little support from school management and senior staff goes a long way. A kind remark, a respectful conversation, a healthy staff room atmosphere. These things may seem small, but they are not. When teachers feel valued rather than evaluated, they show up differently in classrooms. Success doesn't always start with policy changes or reducing workload overnight for teachers. Sometimes it starts with tone, trust, and everyday respect. And when teachers feel supported, that calm and confidence normally reaches the classroom. So, strong schools understand this and they invest in high quality professional development, not as an event but as a habit. The most effective schools don't overload students and teachers with theory. They focus on coaching cycles linked directly to classroom needs, regular short trainings, and clear briefings. Why? Because teacher capability influences every other priority in a school. Student engagement, inclusion, outcomes, even school culture. Professional development prepares teachers for diverse learner emotional needs, cognitive challenges, and even cognitive challenges of modern classrooms. So at its core, it's not about it's about understanding the how the brain learns best. Peer and so this is what is most important. Parents are not outsiders in this process. They are in fact powerful partners. But the role needs to shift from pressure to partnership. When home reinforce effort instead of only marks, progress instead of comparison, and confidence instead of fear, children thrive. And a child who feels safe both at home and at school is far more willing to try, struggle, and persist. And so the other thing is that the school leadership sets the tone. Schools must become safe, aspirational spaces, not just for high scorers, but for every child, every student. Success is personal. It cannot be defined by a single rank, result, or their score. Academic performance matters, but it cannot be the only measure of a child's value. Education is not about producing toppers. It is about empowering students about the skills they need to navigate life and find their own road to success. When we stop forcing growth, we start facilitating it. uh, and children don't just perform better, they grow stronger, more capable, and more prepared for life beyond the classroom. When schools support teachers, parents reinforce effort, and leaders protect purpose over pressure, we don't just improve academic outcomes, we protect the conditions where confidence grows and where effort feels valued, and where belief can take root. Because beliefs cannot grow in isolation, and only teachers cannot be the only one helping student getting optimistic and and the only one creating a positive atmosphere, a learning atmosphere in the classroom. Each and every aspect of the ecosystem must work together. Belief cannot grow in isolation. It grows in classroom that are supported, and in homes that encourage, and the systems that understand that how learning truly happens. And when belief is nurtured first, performance follows. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Farhat. If you can stop sharing the screen, please.
Sure.
Thank you. Here are a couple of questions I want to ask you, ma'am. How can teachers identify students in protection mode?
When a student is not able to respond to the teacher, or when the student appears uninterested, even though they have the potential, so these are few situations where teacher can identify that the student needs to be helped, uh, and need to be supported.
Mhm. So, coming to the teacher's role, what are the signs of a teacher's emotional exhaustion?
Not able to respond in a calm manner, and not able to help all the students of the classroom. In a classroom there are students with diverse academic needs, right? If a teacher is only able to help the student who who can themselves do the work, and not the others who are slow learners, then it means that the teacher is not in the position to cater to the needs of each and every student, because she or he is themselves emotionally unavailable and emotionally exhausted. So that is why they are not able to understand the needs of their learners.
Right. So, how can schools reduce teacher workload effectively?
uh, just like I mentioned in my talk, that always focusing on changing policies and reducing the total work overload is not the starting point, though that is important. But the first step which the school leaders should think about is creating a calm and supportive school environment, especially in the a healthy and atmosphere the staff room culture, and everyday respect for the teachers. It helps them feel valued and rather than evaluated. So basically, just like teachers expect students to give them respect, in the same way teachers also expect their seniors to treat them in a respectable manner. So if that happens, then the teacher feels valued, and she will try to give her best even though she is struggling, but still, because of the positive atmosphere in her workplace, she will be willing to give more in this scenario.
So, what assessment methods preserve students' confidence?
Um, for improving confidence, the teachers can uh, keeping aside the normal uh, the mm, the academic exams, the terminal exams which keep on, which happens in the school, teachers can teachers teachers can create, before starting the lesson, for example, the teacher can ask the student what they know about the previous lesson.
Mhm.
So if some students will raise their hands and some will not. So if the child was present the previous class, then it is very obvious that they know what they have learned about the lesson. But uh, due to some confidence issues, they will not stand up and they will not raise their hand. So these are some of the signs which teacher can understand that these children, even though they know the answer, they don't have the confidence to actually stand and respond. So knowledge is important. The student already has the knowledge, but it cannot muster the courage. They cannot muster the courage to actually say what they know. So so uh, it doesn't necessarily has to be in an assessment format. Every day during the classes, the teachers can assess from the students behavior and the way they respond, or they don't, whether the student lacks confidence or not.
Thank you, Ms. Farhat. School Journal of Education and schoolreformer.com. Thank you for the talk and for patiently answering all the questions. I know you have covered most of the points which I've again asked in the form of the questions. Before I end the session, anything else you want to mention on our platform?
Yeah, I would like to say that we focus on lot about the marks and the uh, where the student stands, but we don't focus much on the emotional needs of the students. So as I've mentioned, for that, each and every aspect of the school ecosystem, the teachers, the parents, and the leaders need to work and need to understand what are the emotional needs getting fulfilled. If they are, then automatically they will be able to succeed in their life.
Thank you so much. I will end the meeting now.
Thank you very much. Thank you.